Hi there, everyone. Welcome to our daily chat. I'm Scott, and it's your dose of daily distinction here. It's really good to have you with us. And by the way, if you're watching on Facebook, we had some challenges with Facebook yesterday. The more that I check it out, the more that I think it's a problem with Facebook and not necessarily the bandwidth here, because there was no delay in terms of what was going on Twitter or live on YouTube. So if you're on Facebook and it's stuttering, it's a Facebook issue, jump over to Twitter or jump over to Instagram where we are. Gosh, you got folks on Instagram already. How are you? Sherry, it's good to see you. I haven't talked to you for a while. Hope everything is great with you and everybody else that's watching right now. Thank you for doing that. And Paul, hey, great to hear from you in the United Kingdom. Yes, things have certainly, I was chatting yesterday with a speaker friend of mine, and one of the things that she was talking about is what a difference we have in lifestyle. You, I'm sure, are the same way. Dwayne, hello. You, I'm sure, are the same way. It's like we live these lifestyles. Russell, same with you, right? It's like we live these lifestyles of going 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden we've hit this brick wall. And it's really crazy in terms of how we keep our emotions intact when everything has changed so much in terms of what we're doing. And I think that's one of the challenges, and it's one of the reasons why I'm getting on here every day. And one of the reasons I think that we should be sharing every day is because there's so much change, not just because of the virus, not just because of all this, but I think one of the things that hasn't been examined enough is that we are people who are used to going just a mile a minute, and we've hit a brick wall. In terms of just our activity, Tammy, my wife, and I were talking about it has really, really struck us how much we eat out. But now that we're not eating out, it has really, really struck us, that we eat out. I mean, we knew we ate out a lot, but it's like we're eating out more than we ever thought we did. And it's really, really incredible how much it's struck us that's what's happening. Ted, always great to see you. Michael, great to see you over on Twitter Periscope. Dana, thanks, Ted. It was so much. I was on a session yesterday with Dirk Beveridge, a webinar that he was doing, a long webinar that he was doing. I had a 30-minute segment, and man, I've gotten so many responses to that. It's really, really been incredible in terms of the number of folks who've contacted me on LinkedIn and so forth. Was really great. Hey, just a reminder, if you like this daily talk that we have, would you please share it? Because that will help build our audience if it comes from you. I can promote it, but I'm not. This is just a chance for us to talk. But if you shared it, it really, really means a lot. On Instagram, we've got a comment here that says, I never thought I'd hate time off work so much. I realize how few habits I have other than going out to eat and spending money. Gosh, that is so true. It just blows my mind. The other thing is we're going, we're cleaning out stuff, and just the amount of junk, crap that we have purchased, that now we go, what were we thinking when we bought this? Why did we think we needed this? What's the deal? So anyway, Jerry, chaos, and we're going to reinvent. And was it Shakespeare, I think, that said, he was talking about greatness, but he said, and obviously in the terms of the time, they were speaking in a gender specific way, but they said, some men have, some men are born great. Some men have greatness thrust upon them. I kind of think, and I'm quoting that very badly, but one of the things, thanks, I appreciate it. One of the things that I think we realize too now is that we're going to have to reinvent, because that has certainly been thrust upon us. Hey, Bonnie, great to see you. Andy, hey, great to see you as well. Don't know if you caught the blog that I did about your paintbrushes, but look forward to connecting soon. And Bonnie, man, what a changing time it's got to be for you folks in the business that you're in. Judy, oh, that's so great. Thank you. I miss Indiana, and I'm gonna, as soon as all this settles down, I'm going back home to see everybody. Robert, great to see and hear you. One of my great pals in this business. Lynn, always good to connect with you from Indy. And Paul, yeah, you're right. It helps us reevaluate what's important and what's what we thought was important and now we realize might not be as important as we thought. Hey, got a couple things to talk with you about today. One is I wanted to remind you that today and tomorrow, if you're looking for something to read, I've made it possible through Amazon to download my book, All Business is Still Show Business. My very first book was All Business is Show Business because I was kind of living a double life. It's not nearly as exotic as it sounds, not Joe exotic, but exotic as it sounds. And I was building my speaking business, but then I was also working as a movie reviewer. I was syndicated to about 100 television markets around the world. So I would spend weekends going to Hollywood or New York and seeing movies before they came out and then interviewing the stars so that we would have that. And part of the deal was that I could ask stars about, how did they run their business and what did it take for them to become successful? And it was just a great library, just a great experience. And so I realized there were some things that Hollywood got that business needed. How do you make something compelling? How do you tell a story? How do you get the audience engaged? And so that was my first book. It was All Business is Show Business. Well, 15 years later, I updated it and revised it, and that's the book, All Business is Still Show Business, and you can download it for free. I don't make a cent. It's just a service I want to provide. But if you go to showbizbook.com/free, it'll connect you with Amazon, and you can download the Kindle version of the book absolutely free. So that's one of the things I want to talk to you about today, showbizbook.com/free. I just saw that Lynn's, how you doing? Golly, it's good to see you. I was following today about all the things that you're doing with the tour being postponed and all that kind of stuff. So hope we catch up soon. Anyway, I wanted to mention that. Second thing is I posted this on Facebook earlier, but it's kind of a neat exercise for all of us to go through. So you don't have to post it here. You don't have to share it. But if you've got a pen or something in front of you, what I'd like for you to do is just write down your age. Just write down your age. Then take that number times 12, and you'll get a total. Look at that number. Think of how many months it has been since your birthday. So my birthday is in November, so I'm sitting here going November, December, January, February, March. So 4, right? If you want to say April, you could add one more. I guess 4 or 5. Add that number to the number that you came up with. Your age times 12 plus that extra number of months. That's how many months you've been alive. Even if you're only 21 years old, that number is not insignificant, right? When you look at that total number. Now I want you to think about the number 2 or 3 and see how minuscule that number is compared to the number of months that you've been alive. And 2 or 3 are what we're asking people to do to stay inside to be healthy. I know it's a sacrifice, but in terms of a percentage of our life, it's not much. I mean, even if it's 1%, it means that 99% of our lives are spent outside of this. That's a perspective I think we need. It's driving me crazy when I hear people say the cure is worse than the disease. Ask country star Joe Diffie how much he'd love to have a cure. John Prine, the great musician, is in critical care in Nashville. Seems to be doing better, but ask him if he wishes there were a cure instead of the disease. The guy that wrote I Love Rock and Roll, that Joan Jett made a hit of, passed away. And normal, ordinary people all over the world are having this challenge. And somehow we have lost our perspective that it is a minuscule amount of our lives that we are being asked. I mean, in Vietnam, in World War I and II, in Korea, my dad was asked to serve for 2 years. We're being asked to sit on our butt on our couch and watch Netflix for 2 months, and yet people are complaining. So, look, I didn't want the cure to be worse than the disease either before I realized how significant the disease is. We've got to get some perspective on this. And yeah, Colin here says it's 0.4%. Isn't It's not asking much, really, in the grand scheme of things. Look, I realize there's financial pressures. I mean, I've mentioned it here before. The way I make money is to stand on a stage and give a speech, just like, Lindsay with the band Cold is on watching right now. The way basically they make money is to stand on the stage and do a gig. Servers at restaurants here in Vegas. Think about all the blackjack dealers and all of the folks in the service industry, on and on. The maids in the hotels and just on and on and on. It is an incredibly challenging situation financially. But as a percentage of our lives, it's not asking a whole lot so that other people, and maybe even ourselves, can live a little bit longer. So I encourage you at least to think about the perspective that we need in this difficult time. So perspective is important. All right, so now, how do we spend our time? And here's a little game that I kind of play with myself to think about, am I spending my time in the right way? Now that I've got all this time, now I've got more time than imaginable. Working out of the house and doing all that, and not having speeches to go to and all that. How do you spend your time? I'll ask you that. How do you spend your time? Let's take a look here at a couple folks. Yeah, Paul helps us reevaluate what's important. Charles, always great to see you, man. I'm glad that you're here. Real estate has been made an essential business. I'm a little leery of it, waiting for the parameters that they will give us. Charles, by the way, is in real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and it's interesting when we think about what is and what isn't essential. And, we got this thing for go to an open house yesterday. And I'm thinking, man, I know I'm not getting out because, first of all, I don't know, is the real estate agent having the open house? But in fact, has the house been sterilized? Who else has been there that day? Have they sneezed on a counter I happened to touch? I mean, I don't mean to go overboard on it, but I just think there's a better way. I feel because real estate professionals need commissions. I mean, I get it. It's just like servers need tips and speakers need gigs. I mean, I get it. But it makes you wonder. The parameters will be interesting. Yes, Pam, aren't the days running together? It is Monday. Yeah, yes, it is Monday. Bruce, helping other businesses stay in touch using platforms like this. That's to enhance that connectivity that we have is so important. And I'm glad to see you're doing this. Jerry's always great with a great comment. We must make the decisions each day that will make for a better tomorrow. It's part of what Jim Rohn says, is that when we think about it, life consists of little disciplines practiced every day. I'll make a note to talk more about that on a future program where we're sitting here talking. But that life really, our success or failure doesn't depend as much on the big things as it does on the little disciplines we practice on a daily basis. Lowell, you're working in your backyard. I was joking the other day that I thought Tammy was digging a garden, but that hole keeps getting a little bigger, and I hope she doesn't have any other things in mind. It's your feelings too. Yeah, Paul, quality time with young children, it's so funny. We may think this is so stressful. I was thinking about this the other day. But I bet there's going to be a lot of kids that look back on this as they get older and later in life that think that this is one of the best things that ever happened because they got to spend so much time with mom and dad. And they're not going to be telling you that now, right? Because they don't have that long-term perspective. But I wonder if when we get further down the road, if it's going to be a time that our kids look back on and think that this was really, really incredible. Colin writes here on Instagram, this might sound like an insult, but it's not. Watching this every day is probably the most productive thing I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Colin, that doesn't sound like an insult at all. That's an incredible compliment. I truly appreciate that. Bonnie, reaching out to a few of my 60 employees every day, working on systems, building a better company, driving my husband crazy. Yeah, that's great. And I love what you're saying there. It just shows what a great leader you are, Bonnie, because you're doing what we all need to be doing, and that's making certain that we maintain the connectivity so that your employees know that even though that they can't, see their clients as like they have been, that you still care and that you're still involved. And gosh, that's really important. Paul, all my business coaching clients have canceled me for now. Yeah. It is. It's hard. I mean, obviously, there's no meetings, there's no speeches going on here, and I totally get that. But Bruce's comment here, I think, is really important. Is that they may need you now more than ever. We just have to make sure that they know that, right? I mean, that we have to make sure that our clients begin to understand how important it is of this communication process. That's one of the things I think is so important about what we're doing right now, is that we're not pulling our covers over our head. You're watching this every day, and we're trying to do this, and you're reaching out to your clients every day, and it's really, really critical. And that brings me back to the other thing I was talking about and started on, and that is that little game that I kind of play with myself, which is asking, we all have these people that we admire, we whether they're people that we've met or probably in most cases, people we've never met. But that we've read about how they do things and what they do, and we've developed an admiration for them. And so one of the games I kind of play with myself is to ask myself, okay, so if he were still alive, how do you suppose Steve Jobs would be spending his time right now? If he were still alive, how would Ernest Hemingway be spending his time right now? Ask yourself those questions, and maybe even make a list. I do that on a legal pad. Okay, so Steve Jobs probably wouldn't be trying to improve the efficiency of the production line at Apple. He would probably be thinking of what are some other creative things. We revolutionized the personal computer. We revolutionized the phone, the cell phone, smartphone, invented the smartphone. What else could we come up with, right? I mean, that's how I picture Steve Jobs thinking of his time. How would Jeff Bezos how's he spending his time right now? My guess is he may be spending his time thinking, wow, what other industries could we get into that delivery would be important? On the program I was doing yesterday with Dirk Beveridge that I mentioned earlier, part of what I talked about was that finding that one little twist that makes your business unique and different is one of the most important things that we could do. The example that I used was Enterprise Rental Car. And what the Taylor family did to compete with Hertz and Avis and the other, big players out there was simply find this one little twist. And the twist was Hertz and Avis and National, they all made you come to the counter to get the car. You had to go to them to get the car. The Taylor family said, wow, we can't have a different product. Right? The Ford you get from Avis is identical to the Ford you get from Hertz. So what can we do? Because the Ford you get from us is going to be identical to So their ideal was, what if we took the car to you rather than you coming and get the car from us? And Enterprise is now the biggest rental car agency in the world because of that. And so in his own way, Jeff Bezos said, how can we take that philosophy to books? Right? The way you got a book before was you went to Barnes & Noble, you went to Borders, you went to the bookstore, Books A Million, and you bought the book. And Jeff Bezos thought, what if we bring the book to you? And that worked so well, he started thinking, what if we brought everything to you? Which is the name of the book about them, right? The Everything Store. So I think Jeff Bezos is probably sitting around now thinking, so what other industry could we employ that philosophy to that could revolutionize another industry? Ernest Hemingway would probably be thinking, what else could I write? So if you imagine how they would spend their day during this unique time first, maybe it'll give you an idea about how you should be spending your time during this unique period of history. Benjamin Franklin once said, if you love life, waste not time, for time is the stuff life is made of. And I think it's really incumbent on us during this different and unique and critical time to be thinking about what could we do uniquely? What could we do differently? How do we use this? I've said it, I think, every day I've been on here. How do we use this lemons that we've been given and made it lemonade by using this to come up with a fresh idea for how we approach our business, or to reorganize our home to make it a better place to live, or to spend time with our kids that could literally change their lives and give them a new perspective. That's what we've got to decide. Please don't waste a good crisis. Let me repeat that. Please don't waste a perfectly good crisis, because there is so much that we can attain and achieve because of this time for reflection and planning and work and thinking and ideas and all of that we can develop, because we can use this time and make it something special and unique. Let's see. Paul, good. You're offering them remote support and trying to help them there. That's really important. Russell, I want this virus gone, but in the meantime, I'm having a great time working from home, spending time with my family. I'm not looking forward to that ending. Yeah, I get it. I appreciate it. And I want the virus gone, and I want everybody to be healthy too. But I also hope that we are able to hold some of the lessons that we are learning through it as we continue on. Hey, Rick in Indianapolis, appreciate that, man. Good to see you on here. You're the best, and I know you went through a challenge and tragedy recently in your life, and I'm sorry for that. And I know that you're just the best. So it's good seeing you here. And hey, Pastor Steve, good to see you. Or Pastor Sleeve Tats. I'm sorry, I misread that. Yeah, I miss the interaction far more than the money, Colin writes on Instagram. Yeah, it really shows us how connected we are as humans, what social animals, so to speak, that we are. And yeah, I agree. That's something I missed. And it's part of why I'm doing this, is because I want to find a way to, keep us connected and keep us talking. So anyway, hey, it's been great talking to you. What we've talked about today is the importance of perspective, looking at, the months, and then looking at what a small percentage that this is in our lives. We've talked about asking yourself, how would somebody that I admire be spending their time right now? And are there things that we can learn from that we can incorporate into our lives as well? And then, as I mentioned, it's right here. It's not if you're on Instagram, but if you're on the others, it's right here. Showbizbook.com/free. If you want to, if you want to download my All Business is Still Show Business book on Amazon, I've set it up so that today and tomorrow, and thank you, Amazon, for making that possible. Today and tomorrow, you can get the book absolutely free. So those are the things we talked about. I'll be right back here tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. What is it in the UK? We got Paul and Paul watching right now in the United Kingdom. So stay safe, everybody, and really, really appreciate you being here. And I look forward to connecting with you again tomorrow. Make sure you take advantage of the free book, and I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. Drop me a note if there's anything you'd like for me to cover. Otherwise, I'll just see you right here, back again tomorrow. Thanks so much.